The year is 2025. Russia's invasion of Ukraine has entered its fourth year. The conflict, which began with rapid advances and fierce battles, has now settled into a prolonged and grueling war of attrition. The front lines are marked by trenches, destroyed buildings and war-torn landscapes, reminiscent of some of the most brutal conflicts in history. Russia, facing mounting casualties and a dwindling pool of willing recruits, finds itself desperate for manpower. The once seemingly endless supply of soldiers has been severely depleted. In a controversial move that sends shockwaves through the international community, Russia turns to an unlikely ally, North Korea. This decision is met with widespread condemnation and disbelief. In June 2024, Russia and North Korea sign a mutual defense pact. This agreement, kept under wraps until the last moment, signifies a new chapter in the geopolitical landscape. This pact, shrouded in secrecy, paves the way for the deployment of North Korean troops to the front lines in Ukraine. The details of the agreement remain classified, but the implications are clear. By October 2024, an estimated 10,000 to 12,000 North Korean soldiers arrive in Russia's Kursk region, a staging ground for the ongoing conflict. Their arrival is a logistical feat involving extensive coordination and planning. This deployment marks the first time North Korean troops have been committed to a foreign war since the Korean War. The historical significance of this move cannot be overstated. The Kremlin touts the deployment as a testament to the strengthening ties between Moscow and Pyongyang. Official statements emphasize the solidarity and shared goals of the two nations. Russian state media portrays the North Korean soldiers as seasoned veterans eager to join the fight against what they call Ukrainian fascism. Propaganda efforts are in full swing to shape public perception. However, the reality on the ground paints a far different picture. The war-torn battlefields and the skeptical Russian soldiers tell a story of uncertainty and doubt. The arrival of the North Korean troops is met with a mix of apprehension and skepticism by Russian commanders and ordinary soldiers alike. The integration of these foreign troops into the Russian military structure is fraught with challenges. Concerns swirl about the North Koreans' ability to effectively integrate into the Russian military structure and their preparedness for the realities of modern warfare. Their outdated equipment and different training methods raise serious questions. These concerns, as we will see, will prove to be tragically well-founded. The coming months will reveal the true cost of this desperate alliance. From the outset, it becomes abundantly clear that the North Korean troops are ill-prepared for the realities of the conflict in Ukraine. Their lack of preparation is evident in every aspect of their military operations, from their outdated strategies to their insufficient training. Their training is woefully inadequate, their equipment is outdated, and their overall readiness for modern warfare is severely lacking. The drills they undergo are reminiscent of a bygone era, failing to address the complexities of contemporary combat. Their understanding of modern military tactics is sorely lacking. They struggle to adapt to the fast-paced and technologically advanced nature of the battlefield, often finding themselves in disarray during exercises. Many of the North Korean soldiers are conscripts with little to no combat experience. These young men, barely out of their teens, are thrust into a war zone with minimal preparation, making them vulnerable and ineffective in combat situations. Their training has largely consisted of rote drills and ideological indoctrination, which do little to prepare them for the harsh realities of modern warfare. The focus on ideology over practical skills leaves them at a significant disadvantage. This leaves them ill-equipped to face a well-armed and determined Ukrainian army. The Ukrainian forces, seasoned by years of conflict, are far more prepared and capable of handling the rigors of war. The shortcomings in their training are further compounded by the antiquated equipment they are forced to rely on. Their gear, much of it dating back decades, is no match for the modern technology they face on the battlefield. The North Koreans arrive armed with a mishmash of Soviet-era weaponry, much of it dating back to the Cold War. This outdated arsenal is ill-suited for the demands of modern combat. Much of their equipment is not only old, but also poorly maintained, leading to frequent malfunctions and failures in the field. Their rifles are old and unreliable, often jamming or misfiring at critical moments. This not only hampers their effectiveness, but also puts their lives at greater risk. Their artillery pieces are inaccurate and prone to malfunction, making it difficult for them to provide effective support during engagements. This lack of reliable firepower is a significant handicap. Their communication equipment is hopelessly outdated, leading to frequent breakdowns in coordination and command. In the chaos of battle, this can be a fatal flaw. They are completely outmatched by the modern weaponry employed by the Ukrainian forces, who are being supplied with advanced weapons systems by NATO countries. This technological disparity is stark and unforgiving. The Ukrainian soldiers, equipped with the latest gear and supported by sophisticated technology, have a clear advantage in every engagement. This support from NATO countries has been a game changer in the conflict. The lack of modern equipment is particularly evident in the North Koreans' vulnerability to Ukrainian drone attacks. These drones, equipped with advanced surveillance and strike capabilities, are a constant threat. Unfamiliar with the tactics of drone warfare, the North Koreans become easy targets for Ukrainian drones, which inflict heavy casualties and sow terror among their ranks. The psychological impact of these attacks cannot be overstated. The drones not only cause physical damage, but also create a sense of fear and helplessness among the North Korean troops. This demoralizing effect further weakens their already fragile resolve. The North Korean troops find themselves thrust into a conflict they are ill-equipped to fight, outgunned, outmaneuvered, and outmatched at every turn. Their lack of preparation and outdated equipment make them easy prey for the more advanced and better prepared Ukrainian forces. In this unforgiving environment, the North Korean soldiers are overwhelmed, struggling to survive against a formidable opponent. The disparity in capabilities is glaring, and the outcome of such encounters is often devastating for the ill-equipped North Korean troops. The deployment of North Korean troops to Ukraine is beset by a litany of problems from the outset. Communication difficulties, stemming from the language barrier between the North Korean and Russian troops, plague the operation from day one. Orders are misinterpreted, crucial information is lost in translation, and coordination between the two armies is practically non-existent. The language barrier leads to a number of deadly incidents, including a friendly fire incident in December 2024. In this tragic event, North Korean troops, mistaking a contingent of Chechen reinforcements for Ukrainian soldiers, opened fire, causing numerous casualties. The incident further erodes trust between the Russian and North Korean forces, and highlights the folly of deploying troops who cannot effectively communicate with their allies. Adding to their woes, the North Korean troops are ill-prepared for the pervasive use of drones in modern warfare. Ukrainian forces, equipped with a fleet of sophisticated drones supplied by Western allies, exploit this vulnerability to devastating effect. Ukrainian drones, armed with missiles and guided bombs, rain down death and destruction on the exposed North Korean positions. The North Koreans, lacking adequate anti-aircraft capabilities, are sitting ducks for the Ukrainian drones. Their outdated equipment and lack of training leave them unable to effectively counter the drone threat. The constant drone strikes take a heavy toll on the North Korean troops, both physically and psychologically. As the weeks turn into months, the morale among the North Korean troops plummets. The harsh realities of the conflict in Ukraine, coupled with the deplorable conditions they face, take a heavy toll on their spirits. They find themselves in a foreign land, fighting a war they do not understand or believe in, alongside allies who treat them with disdain. The poor treatment meted out to them by their Russian counterparts further exacerbates the North Korean sense of isolation and despair. Russian soldiers, resentful of having to rely on what they see as inferior troops, often treat the North Koreans with contempt. Reports emerge of Russian officers denying the North Koreans adequate food, water, and medical care. Adding to their woes, Ukrainian and South Korean intelligence agencies launch a concerted information warfare campaign targeting the North Korean troops. Using leaflets, radio broadcasts, and even smuggled cell phones, they attempt to sow dissent among the North Koreans, highlighting the futility of their mission and encouraging them to defect. The combination of battlefield losses, deplorable living conditions, poor treatment by their Russian allies, and a relentless information war takes a heavy toll on the North Korean troops' morale. Desertion rates, already high, begin to climb as the North Koreans see through the propaganda and realize the dire situation they are in. By February 2025, after just 4 months on the front lines, the North Korean contingent is a shadow of its former self. The harsh winter conditions, combined with relentless combat, have taken a severe toll on the troops. The soldiers, once full of vigor and determination, now appear gaunt and weary, their spirits broken by the unyielding adversities they faced. Decimated by combat losses, ravaged by disease and demoralized by their experiences, the remaining North Korean troops are withdrawn from the front lines. The makeshift medical camps are overwhelmed with the injured, and the medics work tirelessly to provide care. But the resources are scarce and the conditions are dire. The much-touted deployment, meant to bolster Russia's flagging war effort, ends in abject failure. The strategic objectives remain unmet, and the once promising alliance between Russia and North Korea is now marred by this significant setback. The empty trenches and the retreating soldiers paint a grim picture of the failed operation. The North Koreans return home with heavy casualties. The sight of soldiers boarding planes, many of them wounded and disheartened, is a stark reminder of the high cost of this ill-fated mission. Families back home await their return, but for many the reunion will be bittersweet. Estimates suggest that as many as 3,000 North Korean soldiers, nearly a third of the initial deployment force, are killed or wounded during their brief stint in Ukraine. The military cemeteries fill up quickly and hospitals struggle to accommodate the influx of injured soldiers, highlighting the human cost of this conflict. The high casualty rate is a testament to their poor training, inadequate equipment, and the overall failure of the deployment. The soldiers were ill-prepared for the harsh realities of modern warfare, and their outdated gear and insufficient supplies only exacerbated their plight. The withdrawal of the North Korean troops is a major embarrassment for both Moscow and Pyongyang. Political and military leaders are left to grapple with the fallout, as media coverage of the failure spreads rapidly, casting a shadow over their strategic ambitions. For Russia, it highlights the desperation of its military situation and the failure of its efforts to secure reliable manpower from its allies. The recruitment posters that once promised glory now seem hollow, as the reality of the conflict becomes increasingly apparent. For North Korea, it exposes the weaknesses of its military and the hollowness of its claims of being a formidable military power. The grand parades and rigorous training sessions cannot mask the deficiencies in their equipment and the lack of preparedness for real combat scenarios. The failed deployment has significant implications for the future of the conflict in Ukraine and the broader geopolitical landscape. Analysts and international leaders are now questioning the stability of alliances and the potential shifts in power dynamics that may arise from this debacle. It underscores the challenges Russia faces in sustaining its war effort and raises questions about the viability of its alliance with North Korea. The handshake between soldiers from both nations now seems symbolic of a partnership fraught with difficulties and unmet expectations. The world watches with bated breath, wondering what the fallout from this ill-conceived military adventure will be. The geopolitical ramifications are vast, and the international community remains on edge, anticipating the next moves in this unfolding drama.
So hit that subscribe button, ring the bell for notifications, and let's turn the page on a new adventure together. Get ready to experience books like never before, only on VBook 360. Like, comment, and share to support the channel and keep the video magic alive. Thank you for stopping by. And remember, every video has a story, and every story deserves to be shared. See you in the next video.